as we talk about those NPLs, will they stay high?
Oh, well, as all of you are very fully aware that the second COVID wave hit India hard and hit India suddenly. So obviously, I would say almost 50 days of the quarter were impacted in a very significant manner. And that has come through on the retail portfolio side. So while all the banks and financial institutions saw higher than expected retail slippages during the quarter, but we do believe it is transitory. We expect moderation in the second half of the year. We've already seen positive trends come through in the second half of June, and July has been much better than June. And I think the same trend has continued in August also. The demand resolution, which was 98%, is already reached 99.5%, or what I would say pre-COVID levels. There is a 26% year-on-year recovery, improvement in recovery. So in that sense, the positive outcome coming through because of better collection efforts, the better visibility on asset quality, what can be foreseen already, I think hopefully it will be transitory. Now, this is obviously subject to, we're not being hit with third wave or the second wave going away, because the, infections in India.
Exactly. I'm just going to point out, why are you optimistic it would be transitory, given exactly that, the third wave? And if there are risks, how will you contain those risks?
So you're absolutely right. I mean, I was saying that I don't even know whether the second wave has gone away, because the infections have not gone below 35,000. They've stayed in the kind of same zone of 35 to 45,000 every day for quite a few weeks now. I think India now, after the second COVID wave, has a playbook. They know exactly what has to be done. And yes, if it was to spike, there will be parts of the country which could see, calibrated shutdowns. Hopefully, the health infrastructure is, better and more ready than before in terms of being able to tackle the crisis, assuming that there's no other variant which rears its head. You will also see from the results that the larger banks, the banks with the right kind of balance sheet, have been more resilient through the crisis, and they've been able to absorb this much better. Some of the slippages which you have seen in some of the smaller banks, the weaker banks, or the NBFCs has been way, way higher. So I think a crisis of this nature, while no one wants it to come again, tends to speak to more, resilient banks which are bigger in size and scale, and have the ability to absorb these shocks and actually capitalize on the opportunities sometimes which present themselves in a crisis of this nature. So in that sense, we are ready. I keep telling people we are like a crouching tiger. We will capitalize on every opportunity which comes our way, but at the same time, we'll crouch to, and prepare ourselves for any eventuality or any risk that might appear in the horizon suddenly, because COVID too was sudden and sharp.
Yeah, Amitabh, the profits seem to be driven by growth in other income. Do you see this trend as something that is sustainable, and how are you ensuring the momentum of growth and profit now?
So during this crisis, the whole COVID crisis, we have continued to invest heavily. Our tech spend has actually gone up by more than 70% during this crisis. And we have told the markets that we intend to double down and continue to spend through the crisis. We have a number of transformation projects going on in Axis Bank, and we have not slowed the pace everywhere. So in that sense, as we come out of this, and hopefully we will come out of this, we will be better prepared as an institution to capitalize on all opportunities that come our way. So that's point number one. Point number two, India is a growing economy. You see the kind of money which India is attracting, both from an FPI and new age companies. We see hear of a unicorn practically every day now. And hopefully, as the things settle down, the investment will be back in the economy, and obviously the financial sector will grow with the economy in a significant manner. And will we be one of the companies to be able to capitalize on that growth? Yes, we will be, because we have been investing, ahead of the curve here. So in that sense, the confidence level which Axis has on the positive is quite large.
Amitabh, I was going to ask you about your attrition rate at Axis Bank has gone up in the current financial year compared to last. What is the attrition rate right now? Why is it rising? And what is the bank doing to prevent you losing more of your existing employees?
So the attrition rates are now back to close to what they used to be during pre-COVID times. They're still not as high as pre-COVID times, but they're inching back to those levels. The attrition rates were down last year for very obvious reasons. During COVID times, things were so uncertain. The country was shut down. No one wanted to leave their current jobs. And I think the companies are also not hiring. So in that sense, last year was a bit of a misnomer. This year is more real. but not completely real because again, we have had COVID too. As an institution, we obviously continue to work hard to ensure that we manage our attrition well. Most of the attrition which you see is in our sales force, which is the front-end sales force, which is involved in acquisition of accounts. The rates are high, opportunities are large. A lot of employees who come and join us don't like maybe doing those sales roles. So they take those calls that this is not for me and I want to look for some other job. So in that sense, yes, it is an industry-wide problem and we are part of the industry and we face that problem. But post-COVID, we have taken a number of steps, especially trying to move to work from home. We have actually made an announcement about gig opportunities. We are trying to shift 3,000 people to work permanently from home. So we are trying to create avenues of work, which I think has not been embraced to that extent within the financial world. Hopefully, it will speak positively for us and people will stay around because they like that way of working and the opportunities that you're providing.
Amitabh, more than 50 analysts that track your stock are pretty upbeat. They say buy or hold Axis Bank. I want to take a look at return on equity. You have a pretty ambitious target of 18, currently at about what, 7.6%. How will you get there? When will you get there?
So if you look at our fourth quarter numbers for last year, and take out the one-offs, we were in the range of 15 to 16%. I mean, obviously, the last quarter, which has just gone by, got impacted because of COVID too. So 15 to 16% is pretty clear, and it's we know how to get there, and we have actually demonstrated it. Obviously, not on a sustained basis, but one quarter numbers do show that it is an easy number to achieve, given what our current operating profit profile is. It is a journey from 16 to 18, which will be difficult, which will be aspirational, and we have quite a few transformational projects happening in the bank, and we believe that those transformations will deliver that extra 2% over a period of time. I'm the first one to admit that it's an aspirational target, but without those aspirations, how do we become different? How do we become distinctive? So yes, we want to put those aspirations, we want to share it with the market, and we want to be held to those aspirations over a period of time. That's the new Axis Bank which we're trying to create.
Vodafone India, that company on the verge of declaring bankruptcy or going bankrupt right now. I was just going to ask you, Amitabh, about the bank's exposure to the company. What is it? And if so, are you interested in any kind of rescue plans?
Well, I just heard Mr. Tarun Bajaj talk about Vodafone and the fact that he said that they want the three companies to survive. So firstly, I do believe that the government will work very hard to ensure that there are at least three large private companies in the telecom sector in India. The biggest creditor of Vodafone is the government itself. Out of the 180,000 crores of debt, 150,000 crores is to the government. So they would be the biggest loser if that company was to become bankrupt. Our exposure is limited to guarantees which we have given to the government. And this is for the spectrum which they buy off the government, and the government expects a guarantee from them for the underlying the spectrum payments. If this company survives, which I believe the government will try very hard to do, they will continue to obviously make the spectrum payments and our guarantees will not be called on. But it is something we worry about. We have a plan in place. We have anyway stopped accruing any income on this particular asset for quite some time. Worrisome for the Indian sector because this could be one of the largest failures if it was to happen. My belief is that the government has been aware of this crisis for some time. They've been trying very hard to support it. And I'm sure when it comes to the crunch, they will find a way and means to somehow ensure that this company stays for the long term.